What's up, wrestling maniacs? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, you just walked into the most intense wrestling breakdown on the entire platform. Today, we're talking about something that literally had me jumping out of my chair, spilling my energy drink all over my keyboard, and frantically rewinding my TV because I couldn't believe what I just witnessed. We're breaking down the most bone-chilling, spine-tingling, absolutely devastating return in WWE history that has completely flipped the wrestling world upside down and inside out. Before we dive into this madness, and trust me when I say this is pure, unfiltered chaos, I need you to do me a massive favor. If this video gets you as hyped as I am right now, smash that like button like you're Brock Lesnar delivering a German suplex, hit that subscribe button, because we're covering every single shocking moment in WWE, and absolutely demolish that notification bell because what I'm about to tell you is just the tip of the iceberg, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. So, here's what we're covering today. We're talking about Brock Lesnar's return that literally nobody saw coming, and I mean nobody. No dirt sheet reports, no insider scoops, no cryptic social media posts, absolutely nothing. We're breaking down the absolute destruction of Bronson Reed in what can only be described as a public execution disguised as a wrestling match. And we're analyzing why this changes everything for WWE moving forward. Plus, I'm throwing in my predictions for who's next on Lesnar's hit list because, trust me, this was just the appetizer. Wrestling Wildcards, what I'm about to break down isn't just another return story where some guy comes back, waves at the crowd, and cuts a 20-minute promo about how much he missed the WWE Universe. No. This is the most shocking, most devastating, most unpredictable reappearance in WWE history that has literally broken the internet and got the entire wrestling universe talking nonstop for days. The Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. You know, the former UFC heavyweight champion, the guy who could probably beat up your favorite superhero in real life, the most feared and legitimate fighter in all of sports entertainment, has returned to WWE with absolutely zero warning and unleashed carnage that fans will be talking about for decades. This wasn't some cute, nostalgic cameo where he shows up to pop the crowd and then disappears for another 6 months. This wasn't a playful surprise where he comes out, flexes his muscles, and leaves everyone happy. No. This was a destructive masterclass delivered by a man who doesn't just live to dominate, he lives to destroy everything in his path and remind everyone why they call him the Beast Incarnate. And his first victim? Poor Bronson Reed, a superstar who had been carving his reputation as WWE's next unstoppable powerhouse and had absolutely no idea he was about to become a cautionary tale. What happened wasn't just a wrestling match or even a beatdown. It was a statement from Lesnar, a violent announcement broadcast to the entire wrestling world that the apex predator has returned to his hunting ground and he's hungrier than ever. The first body left broken and mangled in his wake was Reed, who walked into that arena thinking he was having a routine squash match and ended up in what can only be described as the most punishing, career-threatening experience of his entire life. To truly understand the magnitude of this seismic event that literally shook WWE to its foundation, you need to rewind the clock and understand just how unlikely this return seemed. Brock Lesnar had been gone for over 8 long months. That's almost 3/4 of a year, people. He was absent from WWE programming, absent from storylines, absent from social media, basically absent from the wrestling world entirely. Fans and wrestling insiders alike were speculating that his career was done, finished, over, kaput. His contract talks had reportedly stalled harder than a car with no gas, and it seemed like he was way more focused on his massive farm in Saskatchewan, probably wrestling cattle instead of wrestlers, and the entire wrestling world was slowly but surely beginning to move on without him. People were starting to forget what it felt like when his music hit, what it felt like when that primal surge of adrenaline swept through an entire arena like wildfire. But here's the thing about Brock Lesnar that separates him from literally every other human being on the planet. When the beast gets hungry, when the predator catches the scent of weakness in the air, when he feels that urge to hunt, he always comes back. And tonight, he came back with a vengeance that was more terrifying than any horror movie you've ever seen.
There were no rumors floating around on wrestling Twitter, no hints dropped by wrestling journalists, no cryptic social media posts, absolutely nothing. And that's exactly what made his sudden arrival so absolutely terrifying. It was like being struck by lightning on a clear sunny day. Meanwhile, Bronson Reed had been building serious momentum that was impossible to ignore. This Australian powerhouse had been dominating the heavyweight division with his incredible size, his surprising athleticism that defied physics, and his devastating tsunami splash that had left countless opponents looking like they got hit by an actual tsunami. Fans and wrestlers alike had started calling Reed the future of WWE's big man division, and honestly, it was hard to disagree with that assessment. On this particular night, Reed was booked in what seemed like another easy squash match. You know the drill, local competitor gets fed to the monster, Reed gets to showcase his dominance, crowd goes home happy, everyone wins. It was supposed to be a routine reminder to the world that Bronson Reed was still a force to be reckoned with, still climbing the ladder toward main event stardom. The match started exactly as expected, with Reed tossing his unfortunate opponent around like a ragdoll, showing off the raw power that made him such a legitimate threat in the heavyweight division. Every slam dripped with arrogance, every strike was delivered with the confidence of a man who believed he was untouchable. The crowd was settling in for the expected finish, probably checking their phones, maybe thinking about what snacks to grab during the commercial break. But then something changed. You could feel it in the air, like that moment right before a thunderstorm hits. The energy shifted, the atmosphere became electric, and suddenly, without any warning whatsoever, the unmistakable opening blast of Brock Lesnar's entrance music exploded through the arena speakers, like a bomb going off. 20,000 fans erupted instantly into the kind of deafening roar that literally makes your ears ring, the kind of sound that only happens when a true legend makes a surprise return that nobody saw coming. It was pure chaos, pure adrenaline, pure pandemonium. Grown men were screaming like teenagers at a concert, people were jumping out of their seats, and the entire building felt like it might collapse from the sheer volume of human emotion. The camera immediately cut to Bronson Reed, and let me tell you, the look on his face told the entire story better than any Hollywood actor could. His confidence didn't just drain away, it evaporated in real time like water in the desert. You could literally watch the moment he realized his night had just transformed from a routine showcase into a nightmare he couldn't escape, a horror movie where he was about to become the victim. Lesnar walked out onto that stage, and here's the scary part. He didn't sprint down to the ring like some excited puppy. He didn't rush or hurry or show any sense of urgency. No, he moved with the cold, calculated, deliberate calm of an apex predator that has spotted its prey and knows there's absolutely no escape. His eyes locked on Reed with a chilling focus that could freeze fire, and the entire arena was electrified with a mixture of anticipation and genuine fear. Reed tried his best to put on a brave front, shouting challenges at Lesnar and puffing out his chest, but everyone watching, and I mean everyone, could see right through it. The fear was written all over his face like a neon sign. It was like watching a house cat try to intimidate a lion. When Lesnar finally stepped through those ropes into the ring, Reed launched himself forward in what could only be described as a desperate, last-ditch attack. Maybe he thought he could catch the beast off guard, maybe he thought he could land a lucky shot, or maybe he was just operating on pure panic and adrenaline. But that's when the entire world got a violent reminder of why Brock Lesnar is different from every other human being who has ever stepped foot in a wrestling ring. He caught him effortlessly, like Reed's 330 pounds of solid muscle meant absolutely nothing, like he was catching a beach ball thrown by a toddler. And from that moment, the systematic destruction began. The first German suplex looked like it might have ended Reed's career right there on the spot. I'm not exaggerating when I say it folded him in half like a piece of paper, and the sound that came from the crowd was pure horror, that collective gasp you hear when people realize they might be witnessing something genuinely dangerous. But Lesnar wasn't even close to being finished. He was just getting warmed up. He unleashed suplex after suplex after suplex, each one more devastating than the last, each one sending shockwaves through the arena that you could literally feel in your chest. Each impact left Reed less able to stand, less able to defend himself, less human, and more like a broken toy in the hands of a violent child. The crowd went from screaming excitement to stunned, horrified silence. And if you've been to a wrestling show, you know how rare that is. This was the kind of silence that only happens when people realize they're witnessing something that's crossed the line from entertainment into something dangerously real, something that might actually require medical attention. By the time Lesnar hoisted Reed up for the F5, it was crystal clear that this was so much more than just an attack or a beatdown. This was a statement being written in blood and broken bones. Reed looked like a child in Lesnar's grasp, his massive frame being tossed around with the kind of terrifying ease that defied everything you thought you knew about physics and human strength. And when that F5 connected, holy hell, the ring itself seemed to tremble like an earthquake had just hit. Reed crashed to the mat with a thud that echoed through the entire arena, a sound that will probably haunt my dreams for weeks. He didn't move, didn't twitch, didn't even groan. He just lay there like a broken marionette with its strings cut. The referee looked absolutely helpless, probably wondering if he should call for medical attention or just run for his life. The medical team came rushing down the ramp like their lives depended on it, and honestly, they might have. Meanwhile, Lesnar just stood there, completely unscathed, not even breathing hard, glaring out at the crowd with that trademark smirk that says, "This is what happens when you forget who the real monster is." Paramedics strapped Reed to a stretcher, an actual stretcher, not some kayfabe nonsense, and that single visual told the entire story better than any commentary or analysis ever could. While Reed was being carried away in pieces, literally